Simple. The first hour of the day belongs to you. My life transformed as an entrepreneur. I was running a Frankenstein insurance business. I didn't have any time. I was whining, crying, complaining, running through my day. I wasn't getting any of the Operation Money Suck stuff, as Gary Halbert would call it, done. I wasn't doing any money-making activities. And so then it was Bill Glazier who said, Michael, the first hour of the day belongs to you. Get your ass to bed an hour earlier and get up an hour earlier. Don't say you're too busy. Get your ass to bed an hour earlier. I started going to bed at 10 instead of 11. I was a night owl. And I said, well, I'm not a morning person. He said, get your ass up in the morning. He said, millionaires are early birds.
We are traveling up to Canada today to sit down with Michael. He's a rock star, multi-millionaire business owner, author, speaker, and business coach who has taught thousands of successful men how to get it all done in today's business world and still enjoy an incredible life. He's well known for his no-bill, kick butt, take no prisoners approach to business, and as the celebrated merchant of truth of the coaching and consulting industry. I'm excited to have you on here, Michael. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Vincent. I love the way you introduce me. I sound like a balls to the wall kind of guy.
Oh, well, I appreciate you taking some time to come on. Everyone, side note behind the scene, he sees my Yankee hat. We get into talking about sports stadiums and our mutual agreement for MetLife Stadium being one of the worst stadiums, if not the worst, getting out after a game. Which game did you see up there?
I was up there 2 years ago, and I went to the old Yankees Stadium the last year that the Yankees were using that stadium. One of the only stadiums I haven't been to is actually new Yankee Stadium. I mean, you can't call it new now, but I made an effort a decade ago to go to a weekend at the old Yankee Stadium. Oh my God, love it.
The memories as a child I have in that place are for a whole nother podcast. But for today,
Neighborhood, Vincent, the neighborhood before the game. It's the best.
oh yeah, I'm always a big stands guy. We stop by stands right around the corner before the game, get with everybody who's going, collect our mutual time to go in. But this is that entrepreneur show. We try to get a little off topic things to give some natural banter when the guest and I are having a great time. This show is dedicated to teaching business owners and entrepreneurs on the edge to start how to do it. There is no textbook in entrepreneurship. A lot of lessons learned, and that's what's going to be coming today. On this show, I like to always start out with what led the guest there. We'll talk about present day and some more advice, and then what's going on in the future. This show is brought to you today by Coming Alive Podcast Production. Head to comingalivepodcastproduction.com to check out the new course and book they launched. And for today, as promised, we're going back in time a bit, Michael. Why did you want to be an entrepreneur at first?
I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to be a coach in the National Hockey League. My entire life, Vincent, was to play hockey for as long as I could at the highest level, then coach hockey as a professional coach, and then retire and die. So I had no interest in being an entrepreneur, even though I came from a long list of entrepreneurs. So the strangest thing happened when I graduated from college. I was well on my way to the National Hockey League. At age 25, I was the youngest coach in minor professional hockey league. I was coaching in the wild, wild west. I call it the Hatfields and the McCoys every night. And I was on my way to the big leagues. I've been coaching for 3 seasons when, unbelievably, unbeknownst to me, that the coaches get fired. And I got fired from my pro job at the age of 27. I returned home to see my mom and dad to lick my wounds. And I'm sitting at the kitchen table, and my dad, who's been an entrepreneur since age 15, he had 70 years in the trenches. He looks at me and he says, before you get back into the hockey business, can I ask you a couple questions? I said, absolutely, Pop. He goes, how many cities have you lived in the last year? I was a single guy in my mid-20s. I go, 4. He goes, how many houses, apartments, condos in the last 4 years? 4. He says, how many owners have you worked for, team owners? I said, 4. He said, do you have any aspiration to be married someday and have children? I said, absolutely. He said, how the hell is that going to work with pro hockey? So he said, let me throw something out there at you. He said, what about you join me for the next year? You stay at home here. I'll teach you the insurance business, which my dad was in the insurance business, from the front door to the back door. He says, I want to retire. He says, after 1 year, you come to me and you say, listen, I hate this. I'm going back to pro hockey and everything's perfectly fine. He says, if you love it, if you love entrepreneurship, you and I will work out a buy-sell agreement and I'll sell you the family business over 10 years. So he said, by the way, you can also coach amateur hockey on the side to scratch that itch. So he says, you're going to have the best of both worlds. So I take him up on it and I give him 1 year of my life. And I learned the business from the front door to the back door. He kicked my ass for 12 months. I walk in his office on the 13th month and I say, Dad, I'll take it. Is it on sale? He said, no, it's not on sale. It's going to be $30,000 a month for 10 years, but you're in. 17 years later, #1 insurance agency in the entire nation for 7 years straight. We were only a small little company to start with. And I sold that business in 2017 for a record multiple. And I ran that company, Vincent. I didn't adjust to the insurance business. I made the insurance business adjust to my style as a coach, as a leader, and I just caught the entrepreneurial bug, and I've never looked back since.
I absolutely love it. Sometimes you got to put your head down and follow the blueprint. You learn from Pops, and now you've just elevated and transformed this idea. For everybody out here today who's at the exit stage, maybe you can give us some advice about some things maybe you wish you knew when you were starting the exit process that you know now.
Well, my dad told me right off the bat, when I was running a lemonade stand when I was 12 years old, he walked up and he said, how much are you going to sell that business for? And I said, sell the business. I just want to sell some lemonade. He goes, the big payday's in the sale day. I never forgot it. I was 12 years old. I had a little window cleaning business, window washing business in high school. He said, he says there's two things in life. He says there's present bank and future bank. Present bank is what the company will make you every day, pay the employees, put a little bit of money in your pocket. And then future bank is what he called the walk away into the sunset. So any business that I'm in, Vincent, I ask myself the day I walk in, how can I sell this for maximum money? It can be 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. I ask myself that with the barbershop, with the window cleaning, my beloved hockey team. My junior championship hockey team is the New York Yankees. It's the Dallas Cowboys. It's the Montreal Canadiens of junior hockey in the world. And I sold it 3 years ago. And people are like, how the hell did you sell your hockey team and your insurance agency? I said, everything is built to sell. So you build up present bank, you build up equity, and then at the end, you always make decisions on how can I sell this for the maximum amount. And I think as an entrepreneur, I don't know about you, but I don't like to be in a business forever. I like to come in, I like to build a Super Bowl team, I like to win the Super Bowl, and then I like to leave town. And that's just the way I am. So I build things to sell. So my mindset is always on profitability. Like when somebody comes to me, I call it vitamin N, which is no. My favorite word in the English language is no. My favorite complete sentence is no. Vitamin N all day, every day. So people say to me, they'll say, Michael, do you want to do this? Or do you want to invest in this? Do you want to go golfing? Do you want to whatever? And I stop myself and I say, does this improve the business's profitability? Will this help me walk into the sunset with a maximum payday? And if the answer is yes, it has to be a hell yes. And if it's a no, it's a hard no. So I walk around like Warren Buffett all day saying no to everything. That's a great idea. I'd love to do that, but no. That's a fantastic opportunity, but no. Vitamin N all day because I have my eye on the sunset. My dad says a great entrepreneur helps people in their business, solves problems, and then walks away into the sunset on his or her own terms. My dad finally retired at 85, at age 85. At 15, he dropped out of school and drove a truck without a license. That's 70 years in the entrepreneurial trenches. You know how many times he took mini retirements? 11. He would sell a business and take the summer off with us and coach us in T-ball. He would build a company up for 6 years. He'd sell it. He'd take 90 days off. He called them mini retirements, and he worked to age 85. He's 91 now. And if I go over and see him right now, he's going to be talking to me about artificial intelligence. He's going to be talking to me about how this is the greatest time in history to be alive. He's going to talk to me about how the next 4 years are going to be the greatest pro-business environment in your life. And this is the way it goes. So I always have my mind on the sunset.
Always have the mind on the sunset. I love it. I have to ask though, we talked briefly just now, barbershop from coaching. Way different fields. Then we got hockey way over here. Walk us through what led you to the barbershop world.
Well, I'm like you. I'm not a small business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. So an entrepreneur suffers from ADHD. It doesn't exist, but let's say it does. And it just means that from the time our feet hit the floor until the end of the day, we're always solving problems. So I bought our community hockey team because it was on the emergency operating table. So visualize the Yankees at their lowest ever, and they're just about to go bankrupt. And by the way, my hockey team was in its 90th year when I rescued it. So it's going to fold after 90 years. My dad's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. I called them up a couple of times and I said, that's a job for me. I can go in there and I can market it. I can recruit. I can coach it. And I will bring the first championship to our small town in 23 years. So what I did is I went in and I cleaned house. I took a broom to the place. I marketed it. I sold season tickets. I made 300 phone calls a day. I sold ice logos. I got new seats. I got a $1 million locker room for the guys. I recruited 7 days a week. And I brought the first championship to our community in 23 years. And people said, how do you do something like that? They said, you must have a passion for this. And this is another one of my dad's things. He goes, if you just have passion for something, you'll never be the best in the world. You've got to be obsessed. You got to be obsessed with winning. George Steinbrenner, he was obsessed with winning. Elon Musk is obsessed with winning. Henry Ford, he wasn't passionate about cars. He was obsessed with winning. Great football coaches, all these guys. Tom Brady, obsessed with winning. That's how I took over that team, because I went in there to play savior. I wanted all the blame and I wanted all the credit. That's Jimmy Johnson, Dallas Cowboys. I want to go into the worst situation, the outhouse, and I'm going to take the time and build it to the penthouse. I want all the blame. When it's not working, I want all the credit. Then I'm driving through our small community. We only have a couple of main streets. And on the corner, Vincent, is this shithole building. Welfare, drug den, the whole thing. And we live in the most beautiful community in the whole country. I live in the two greatest places in the world, Naples, Florida, and in Canada in the summer on the lake. And I drive by this every day, and it bugs me, right? Because that's losing. That building is losing. So instead of whining and complaining like the normies, I say, what can I do? What can I control? So I said, you know what? My daughter's 10 at the time. She goes, Daddy, why don't you put one of those kick-ass barbershops in there? Like really, you see him in New York, you see him in Chicago, you see him everywhere. And barbering was coming back. I called the owner up the next day. I said, how much for that place on the corner? I said, I need 3 months free lease to get it going. I never had scissors, Vincent, in my hand. And I designed that place. I hired the #1 barber in New York City. I got him on a plane a month later. He flew to Canada. He trained my entire team, not one barber with experience.
Amazing.
He designed the whole place. We got a liquor license, scotch, beer, you name it. I got seats in there from Yankee Stadium, from Fenway Park, and we opened it up. And I'd never, ever been in the barbershop business. We sold memberships every month to be part of the club. I brought in guys from the major leagues. Mike Ditka was there. I brought in celebrity guys to sign autographs. Number one barbershop for 7 straight years in Canada. And then I turned around and sold it because I didn't need the headache. There wasn't big money in that. So that's my motivation as an entrepreneur, is fun. Life is a game. I wanted to save the hockey team, and I wanted to clean up the downtown.
Well, that's just inspirational as it gets, everyone. Going out there, looking for opportunities. That was the big takeaway there. You never know where it could take you. We touched on the insurance and the coaching and now the hockey and the barber shops. If you had to only pick one of those areas from your journey, which one would you have done?
Well, insurance is the most profitable business in the world next to selling drugs out of Mexico. So I didn't want to get involved in the cartels as a Canadian. So I decided to sell a product that renews. So you know how all the fake gurus in our business talk about, oh, you need passive income. You need passive income. And I mean, I'm like, the insurance business, you sell it once and you keep it for 10 years. That's if you're no good. So when I would sell a car policy, I'd keep that policy for 10 years. So Vincent, I get paid 10 times. I sell you condominium insurance in St. Pete. That's 10. You're going to stay with me unless I'm a tomato can. So what other business in the world do you sell at once and you keep people forever? Maybe Yankee season tickets, but I don't know. But this is the gold in that business. So I went on TV, I went on radio, I did 140,000 flyers a month. I went like absolutely like a psychopath in that business with marketing, because the return on investments in insurance were, if I can get your insurance, I'm going to get paid 10 times, 15 times, 20 times. In those other businesses, your marketing budget had to be much smaller and tighter. Your game had to be buttoned up because you don't have the margins. But the insurance business also, my dad ran a general store working 14 hours a day. I grew up in the back of it the first 5 years. You have no life, right? You just work.
Right. Yeah.
So what insurance is and why I choose it as number one, that's a lifestyle business. I've coached hockey. I sleep in the office. That's not a lifestyle business. Insurance, the money that came with the lifestyle.
I absolutely love the perspective there. Everyone out there, keep chasing and you'll get to the top. And I want to highlight some of the ways he got to the top. Just to reiterate, he tripled the size and profits of his business in the first 36 months back then. Then that led him to becoming the GKIC Marketer of the Year award. That's pretty impressive. Walk us through that process.
Well, that's through Dan Kennedy, the number one direct response marketer in the world. So I was in one of their masterminds, $30,000 a year. I had to put that on my visa the first year. I didn't make $30,000 a year. And I said, if I'm going to become a 6 or 7 or 8 figure guy, I got to get around guys that are like that. So I put that literally on my visa one day. I was living in a little apartment and I said, I'm going to go hang out in a room where I'm the brokest guy. And I got in a room there, Vincent. You know what it's like to be in those rooms where it's like you just feel the energy, the frequency, and you're going to learn every second. And I'm not afraid to be the weakest guy in the room. And, I go through the first year and then I renew my membership. And the next year I can pay the 30 grand because I actually have an income. And then Kennedy comes up to me and he says, Michael, toss your name in the marketer of the year. And at the time, it was a Trump apprentice contest. So you go to the seminar, this super conference in Dallas. Cal Ripken was one of the speakers.
Wow.
Gene Simmons from KISS was one of the speakers. You had George Foreman was there.
That's cool.
I'm in the apprentice contest, right, against these other 3 guys. And they bring us up on the stage and we're the final 3. And just like Trump did on The Apprentice, they give us the assignment. And I'm like, holy shit. I said, this is going to be 3 days like I'm coaching hockey. But it all came back because I can go without sleep if I have to. And I came down off that stage and I said to my wife, I'll see you in 3 days. I'm going to win this thing. I said, I've come this far. So for 3 days, I used every contact, and this is going back 15 years, every contact with SEO. Facebook was just starting, Twitter was just starting, and we had to get a product. It was a like a Dunkin' Donuts, except fictional, and they wanted you to have a virtual store selling donuts and having sales by the time you were called back up 3 days later. So all the other guys went about doing all their stuff. When we walked up, I walked up on the stage in the third day, it was over. I was the only guy that had massive sales by then. I had a Twitter following, I had a Facebook following, I had a YouTube following, and we had sales. And this was from all the guys that helped me. But that was an experience we procrastinate too much as entrepreneurs. If I would have been told to do this and I was given time, Vincent, I would have taken 2 years. They gave me 2 days and I got the job done. So from that day forward, as a business owner, I give myself non-negotiable deadlines. Non-negotiable deadlines. The book that your guys can download for free at brassballsecrets.com, I wrote that book in 2 hours. People say, I'd like to write a book because it positions you as an authority in any industry.
Sure
I've been working on my book. I sat down in Naples beside the pool and I wrote that book. It's only 22 pages. A book doesn't have to be 400 pages, not the Bible. It's just a book, 22 pages. That book has been downloaded by 90,000 people in the last 2 years. It took me 2 hours to write. So being in the trenches with Kennedys and those guys, it's just like, it'd be like working for Elon Musk, where this is probably going to take you a year. I'm giving you 6 days. And I've worked for guys like that in sports. I've worked for some of the top coaches in the world, and literally that's their mindset. This would take a civilian 30 days, Vincent. We're going to do it in 2 nights. And it's amazing what we're capable of when you have that get it done mindset. And perfectionism kills entrepreneurs. It kills them. And, it's like that book. That book has been written. It's good enough. I gave myself a deadline. And that's it. Last year, I started the year in December. By the way, a badass new year starts in December 1st, not January 1st. You get momentum ahead of everybody else. I said, I'm going to get in the best physical, mental, spiritual shape of my life. And I said, I'm going to drop 21 pounds. I'm going to put on 12 pounds of muscle, but I'm going to lose. I gave myself 90 days to do it. And I did it in 90 days. Deadlines are an employee's superpower.
I love my self-imposed deadlines as well. As an entrepreneur, you have to make it non-negotiable, and until you could take yourself serious enough to follow through with that, or at least for me, I didn't notice the major shifts. It started about 2 years ago with time blocking and holding myself accountable and doing these time audits of, wow, look at all this extra time and I'm finishing the whole week's worth of work in the 2 days, kind of like you're saying, holding myself accountable to get there. Before I let you go, there's always something I like to ask guests, which entrepreneur that they haven't met would they sit down with, dead or alive? But I still wanted to talk about one area that you could bring to the show. What is one unconventional strategy that you can help entrepreneurs get it all done with?
Simple. The first hour of the day belongs to you. My life transformed as an entrepreneur. I was running a Frankenstein insurance business. I didn't have any time. I was whining, crying, complaining, running through my day. I wasn't getting any of the Operation Money Suck stuff, as Gary Halbert would call it, done. I wasn't doing any money-making activities. It was Bill Glazier said, Michael, the first hour of the day belongs to you. Get your ass to bed an hour earlier and get up an hour earlier. Don't say you're too busy. Get your ass to bed an hour earlier. I started going to bed at 10 instead of 11. I was a night owl. And I said, well, I'm not a morning person. He said, get your ass up in the morning. He said, millionaires are early birds. So I started getting up at 6 a.m. 22 years ago to work 1 hour on what Gary Halbert called Operation Money Suck. And all that Operation Money Suck is on one thing. It can't be two. One thing that's going to bring you the most money that day. Most of the time I use the hour to write an email and shoot a video. but I use that time for designing postcards, designing posts, writing Twitter feeds, creating all my marketing. I used it to write books. And then the rest of the day was chaos. But that's 7 hours a week, 7 hours times 52 weeks, and you will exponentially blow up your business in your life 1 hour a day. And I heard somebody say it the other day, and I thought it was even more brilliant than what I was told by Glazier, that you own the first hour of the day. This particular guy said the first hour of an entrepreneur's day belongs to the two most important people in his life or her life: the entrepreneur you are and the entrepreneur you're about to become. Same concept, who you are and who you're about to become. But Bill Glazier said it best. He said, Michael, don't tack on stuff. Get your ass to bed 1 hour earlier and get up an hour earlier. And I'm a 10 p.m. guy ever since then. And I get up like you, and I do my most valuable thing first thing in the morning.
Yep.
And then I'm like a machine the rest of the day.
I love it, and I couldn't agree more. I hope to climb to your rankings and stature one day, and are inspiration to me as a business owner for how far you can grow, how far you can take things by thinking outside of the box. It's time to ask now, Mike, which entrepreneur throughout history, dead or alive, would you choose to sit down with to pick their brain? Part of me thinks I already know the answer coming.
My second choice would have been Andrew Carnegie, because I think Andrew Carnegie is, I don't know if you ever heard the story about Carnegie at his mills where everybody worked, but there was two shifts with Carnegie. So he strikes me as my type of guy. And Carnegie, of course, had the mills, and it was an honor to work in those days, right? If you had a job, it was a big thing. 12-hour shifts, Vincent. So he would have Charles Schwab, his right-hand man. At the end of every 12-hour shift, he would go out with a big piece of chalk where all the hundreds of men were standing and had to walk in for the next shift. And in the big circle, he would write the grade. And it was like 0 to 100 with the productivity of the shift before. So maybe a 79, maybe an 81, maybe a 93. I don't know. If the shift coming in behind failed to exceed the shift in front of it 3 times in a row, Carnegie would replace the entire shift. Hundreds of men would lose their jobs instantly. Give me 3 half-assed days and you are gone. And that's why Carnegie was Carnegie. He didn't mess around. And then they interviewed some of these men and they said, what did you think about that? They said, we loved it. We always knew where we stood. The guy I would have Thanksgiving dinner with or Christmas dinner with or take out on the boat here on the lake would be the greatest. He's the Thomas Edison of our time. He's the Thomas Edison of our time. He's also the P.T. Barnum of our time, the greatest self-promoter of our time. And that's Elon Musk.
That's who I was thinking, yeah.
I mean, my dad's 91 years old. He said, Elon Musk is not new. None of this is new. My dad's been through the Reagan years. He's been through all that shit. He's like, Elon Musk is just Thomas Edison. And he's also P.T. Barnum, the Barnum of the circus. Like he knows how to do it. And he's the greatest entrepreneur of our generation. So that's the guy that I want to have a drink with and talk to.
Absolutely love it. Way to close out the show, just like you started there, Michael. Thank you for a rockin' interview here on That Entrepreneur Show. Can't thank you enough for taking some time out of your day to come join our community of entrepreneurs. Now, please let us know, where can we find you online?
All your audience has to do to get a free copy of my brand new book. My new book is called Unfuckwithable: 5 Ways to Unfuck Your Life in the Next 30 Days. It's a simple 22-page free PDF. You just go to brassballsecrets.com, brassballsecrets.com, put in your email, and I'll email you a copy of the book within 5 minutes. That also, Vincent, adds them to my daily email video list. Yep. I shoot a video every day when I'm walking. Like I'm a lunatic. When I go walking for an hour, I talk about money, marketing. I talk about the Jets. I talk about Bill Parcells. I talk about it all. And I send this video every morning at 10 o'clock. And if you're on my email list, you get it. So download the book at brassballsecrets.com. You read the book. It only takes you 20 minutes. And then every day, I'm going to be in your face with a short video. Who am I kidding? They're long videos, about 20 minutes, and you're automatically going to receive those. No charge. That's how you can figure out whether I'm your cup of whiskey or not.
Oh man,
Fractalsecrets.com.
you had to make the Jets poke there, and while you were talking about Jimmy Johnson taking accountability, all in this, when the good and the bad, and I have what I have right now, where just the Jets is the best seasons, the off season after being as excited for what they did with this particular team. I don't know if I could ever be excited again before a season, but just Jets life, heartbreak city, but it builds character, I think. It helps me become a little more resilient, maybe in entrepreneurship. But everyone online, the show is at That Entrepreneur Show on all podcast platforms. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment for our guests to say hello. The show is also on social media at the same handles. My name is Vincent A. Lancy, and you can learn more about me at vincentalancy.com or on social media. Again, our show sponsor is ComingAlivePodcastProduction.com. Check out their new course today at the link in bio. With that, we're signing off from Canada to Florida for now, but soon enough, he'll be down here back in Florida next month. Michael, thanks so much.
You're welcome. I'm on my way to the land of the free.
We'll see you soon.
See you, Vincent.